Morning, everyone. You're watching Fox and Friends First. On this Tuesday morning, I'm Clayton Morris.
And I'm Jackie Ibanez. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us. Well, a total hoax. That's the message from President Trump as hearings on alleged Russian election interference drags on.
Sally Yates, James Clapper, both grilled over leaked classified communications.
Griff Jenkins is live in Washington, D.C. this morning with what to expect today. Hey, good morning, Griff.
Hey, Jackie and Clayton, good morning. Yes, President Trump is lashing out at investigations into alleged ties between his campaign and Russian meddling in the election, taking to Twitter, writing, quote, "The Russia-Trump collusion story is a total hoax. When will this taxpayer-funded charade end?" That response, as former acting Attorney General Sally Yates, who was fired for refusing to carry out the president's travel ban, testified before a Senate panel alongside former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, warning that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn could be blackmailed by the Russians for misleading the administration.
The Russians also knew that General Flynn had misled the vice president and others. Not only did we believe that the Russians knew this, but that they likely had proof of this information. And that created a compromise situation.
Yates and Clapper also admitted viewing unmasked Trump campaign communications and sharing the information when pressed by Senator Grassley.
Did either of you ever request the unmasking of Mr. Trump, his associates, or any member of Congress?
I could have discussed it with either my deputy or my general counsel.
I had discussions with other members of the intel community.
Both denied leaking the classified communications to the press, but the story is far from over. Monday's hearing was just the first of multiple congressional probes into the Russian influence, and in just a few hours, NSA Director Mike Rogers testifies before the Senate Armed Services Committee. It will be the first time we hear from him publicly on the unmasking. And guys, who knows? We may hear more from President Trump on Twitter. Stay tuned.
You can count on that. All right. Thanks, Griff.
Thanks, Griff.
Well, Lindsey Graham was one of the senators grilling Yates and Clapper inside that hearing.
He says the issue of classified information being leaked to the media is something that cannot be ignored.
But here's why it's important to know about the unmasking of the conversation between the ambassador and General Flynn. Somebody took that information and leaked it to the Washington Post, and you cannot allow intelligence to be politicized. And there's a small universe of people can ask the intelligence community to give them conversations between a foreign agent and an American citizen. I talk to foreign leaders all the time as a United States Senator. So I'm really very much concerned that we've got a system in place where you can capture conversations between American citizens, political leaders, and somebody with a political bent can take that information and use it in a political fashion, like leaking it to the Washington Post.
Sanctuary City crackdown. Texas preemptively suing the city of Austin for refusing to abide by a new law banning illegal safe havens. The governor claims it keeps criminal illegals off the streets, but critics say it puts politics over public safety. Our Kelly Wright joins us now with the battle brewing on the Lone Star State. There in the Lone Star State. Hey, Kelly.
Jackie, good morning. Less than a day after Senate Bill 4 is signed into law, the state's attorney general filing a lawsuit before it even gets into effect, calling out several Austin lawmakers by name, including Sheriff Sally Hernandez, Mayor Steve Adler, and city council members. They are all openly outspoken against the law that allows officers to ask a person's immigration status during routine stops. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus goes even further, slamming the rule, claiming it's the nation's most anti-immigrant law since an Arizona crackdown in 2010.
In my opinion, there's nothing positive that this bill does in the community or in law enforcement.
So Governor Abbott refuting that claim, saying it protects our borders and ensures illegals can actually be prosecuted.
This is simply a mechanism such that when someone who has a criminal record who is wanted by ICE, they're going to be held and detained and turned over to ICE. If you are here, regardless of what your status, and you have not committed a crime that makes you subject to an ICE detainer, you have no problems whatsoever.
Now, critics worry the law could create a chilling effect, causing a distrust of people, leading to people not reporting crimes.
I think that instills a level of fear in the community, which is what we didn't want to happen to begin with. We don't want people to go fly under the radar.
A lot of deep division going on in the heart of Texas. Protesters fighting back for months already, saying the law tramples on people's rights. The ACLU and Latino rights group are pledging a fight. The law takes effect in September. Clayton?
All right, Kelly, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Well, now New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is voicing his opposition to Governor Abbott's bill, and Twitter is having a field day over it. Mayor de Blasio tweeting, "This will not make Texas safer. Governor Abbott is wrong. We just had the safest April in New York City's history, thanks to growing partnerships between police and communities." Twitter users immediately jumping on that. John saying this, because enforcing the law doesn't work. Tom tweets, "Work on New York City and let Texas take care of their own." And Rocky says, "Texas doesn't really care how you feel. Good for them."
Well, an airport terminal looks more like a scene from Fight Club. Hundreds of stranded passengers demanding answers this morning after Spirit Airlines canceled 9 flights at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Look at that. Police forced to step in when travelers started violently pounding the counter. Then a brawl broke out. Unbelievable. Several people taken into custody. Spirit canceling 300 flights in the past week as pilots negotiate contracts.
Horrifying new details about the gruesome double murder of engaged doctors. An ex-convict pleading not guilty from his hospital bed in Boston. A West African immigrant is accused of slitting the throats of Dr. Richard Field and Dr. Lena Bolanos and writing a message of revenge in blood on the wall. Police say he broke into the couple's nearly $2 million condo where he used to work as a security guard. Dr. Field sending a frantic text message in his last minutes telling a friend about the gunman.
It alerted the friend that Dr. Field was was very concerned there was an intruder in the home. That friend contacted the Boston police.
Police finding the suspect in a dark hallway in the condo, shooting him 3 times. He was found with a backpack filled with jewelry and a replica of a gun. The suspect, with a lengthy criminal record, was just released from jail in April after robbing a bank. The city of Phoenix breathing a sigh of relief after a man accused of a serial killing spree is finally behind bars. Police linking 23-year-old Aaron Saucedo to 9 murders and a dozen shootings between August of 2015 and July 2016. The gunman selecting most of his victims at random. Investigators crediting the community for the huge break in the case.
These criminals need to understand that they're the ones who should fear us, not the other way around. So thank you for what you've done to help us bring this to a closure.
Phoenix police are still looking for another killer behind in a series of freeway shootings in 2015.
Urgent mandatory evacuations underway right now as out-of-control wildfires, you see them there, scorched 130,000 acres in the south. Hundreds of people now refusing to leave their homes. In Georgia, high temperatures and low humidity intensifying flames which were ignited by a lightning strike last month. The inferno expected to rage through the weekend and throughout the week there. The raging fires so heated near the Florida-Georgia line, you can even see some smoke there billowing from space. Wow.
Well, it's May, but it feels much more like a March at this hour. It's 49 degrees.
Sorry. Senior meteorologist Janice Steen here tracking some cooler temperatures that Clayton is not too happy about.
Come on.
I know. Sooner or later, we will be complaining about the heat, and we'll go back to this videotape, and we'll show that to you. But look at the temperatures. Yes, we have a trough across the Northeast that's bringing this much cooler air mass for the next several days into the weekend. So 47 here in New York, 36 in Pittsburgh, 37 in Detroit. It is cold enough for a little bit of snow across upstate New York. Freeze advisories, freeze warnings in effect. That's going to be ongoing throughout the work week overnight. And there's your satellite radar imagery. You know, you've got a little bit of snow up towards upstate New York and the Great Lakes. It is cold enough. It does happen this time of year. But of course, people want the springtime temperatures and the warmth. And I don't think we're going to get that until maybe next week. So the West as well, dealing with unsettled weather and cooler than average temperatures. We've got a trough here. The threat for severe storms as this area of low pressure moves into the high plains. So large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes. That's going to be an ongoing threat, not only today, but tomorrow as well for the central U.S. You see the highs. So you've got this area of low pressure across the west, area of low pressure across the northeast. And in between that high pressure, we call that an Omega block. So things are kind of the way they are over the next couple of days, and you can see where it is warm. So, Clayton, if you'd like to move to the Central Plains for the next couple of days, that's where you will find the warmth.
Don't stay away from omega blocks and
the
your
omega block, that's what we
troughs.
call it. And the troughs and the high pressure.
Thanks,
it's
Jenny.
Awesome.
Give me some spring. Thanks,
Isn't that the way
Janice.
we're always complaining if it's too hot, too cold?
I'm used to it.
Fall lasts for a week. Come on. Well, time is now 10 minutes after the hour, and brand new terror targets. A new threat this morning forcing major changes at the TSA. What you need to know before your next flight.
And a death threat against police spray painted on this tax-funded college campus. But that's not what has these students trigger. Wait till you hear this one.
And breaking news from the world of country music. A huge announcement from megastar Jason Aldean.
Let's get this thing started. It's my kind of party.
More companies are making it easier for employees to save money for college. Businesses are doing this by adding 529 plan perks to workplace benefits packages. Some employers allow workers to fund these college savings vehicles automatically via payroll. Others kick in matching contributions. The goal is to make saving for college similar to saving for retirement by providing some of the same incentives that encourage workers to contribute to 401k accounts.
They're established by individual states. You can put basically as much money as you want into it. It's after tax, so you've already paid the taxes on it. But as it grows tax-free. And then you can take the money out of the plan completely tax-free as long as you're using it for higher education expenses. And those expenses include not only tuition, but room and board and books and supplies and other things like that.
Although 529 perks aren't yet a totally common employee benefit, College America says its corporate-sponsored accounts have been expanding at a rate of about 5% annually over the past 5 years. That's your tax tip. In New York, I'm Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
Hello, I'm Dr. Manny. I'm here to answer your questions. There's a new trend in the beauty world. It's called the no poo method. We got this email from a viewer.
Dear Dr. Manny, I've read that my hair will be healthier if I stop shampooing it every day. Is this true? And what about using dry shampoo? Thanks.
Celebrities have been talking about this trend for a while now, ditching your regular shampoo routine to maintain your hair's natural oils. Remember, the scalp has different oils than the rest of the body. It can tend to build up and allow for overgrowth of bacteria and yeast. When that bacteria grows, it can cause dandruff, itchy scalp, flaking scalp, and even hair loss. Dermatologists say you shouldn't stretch your shampoos more than 2 to 3 days, but this can vary depending on your hair type. The most important thing to remember about shampooing is that it removes dead skin cells and excess oil, which prevents dandruff. As far as dry shampoos go, they aren't a substitute for the real thing. For more, we checked in with an expert.
Those do absorb some of the oil, but they also sit on the scalp and allow the oil to stay there and, again, the yeast and the bacteria to overgrow. So use those sparingly.
Thanks. Do you have a health question? Tweet me at Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.
Hey, welcome back. You're watching Fox and Friends First, 13 minutes now after the hour. Former acting Attorney General Sally Yates grilled for her decision to not support President Trump's immigration order. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy taking her to task during her testimony on Capitol Hill yesterday.
At what point does a statute or an executive order become unconstitutional? Is it some a priori determination? And I don't mean any disrespect. Who appointed you to the United States Supreme Court?
I was appointed.
That determined, isn't it a court of final jurisdiction decides what's constitutional and not? In fact, aren't most acts of Congress presumed to be constitutional?
They are presumed, but they're not always constitutional.
Yates was fired by President Trump for not defending that executive order. Jack?
College students demand control over cops, accusing officers of having, quote, implicit bias. The request at the University of Wisconsin comes after a major graffiti bust on campus. A black student arrested for spray painting things like bleep the police and death to pigs on school property. The student government now wants the police chief to cooperate with an accountability board with the power to hire and fire cops.
Well, shielding criminals on your dime. Outrage boiling over in one major U.S. city where taxpayers are now being forced to pay legal fees for illegal immigrants.
And it doesn't stop there. Fox News radio host Todd Starnes joins us now with his 1-minute commentary. Good morning, Todd.
And good morning, Jackie. Yeah, the Sacramento City Council is going to give taxpayer money to illegal aliens with immigration problems. The city agreed to set aside up to $300,000 to help illegals with their legal issues. They also beefed up their status as a sanctuary city. So it's now illegal for city employees to ask about someone's immigration status. In other words, one set of rules for law-abiding Americans and another set of rules for the illegals. One resident told the Sacramento Bee the plan was disgusting, said the money ought to be spent caring for the homeless. Meanwhile, Emory University in Georgia announced a plan to pay 100% of the financial needs for illegal students. Law-abiding American students must pay for their education, as do international students who came here legally, but not those who came here illegally. Yeah, that's going to give somebody a microaggression. You know, folks, there was a time when millions of people crossing the border into one country without permission was considered an act of war. They used to fight wars over stuff like that. But these days, well, they just call it a Democratic voter registration drive. Back to you guys.
Microaggressions. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
The time is now 16 minutes after the hour. It was a major fight for the feds to crack a terrorist iPhone. Remember this whole story after his deadly rampage in San Bernardino? Now we know the price tag for keeping Americans safe.
And an urgent warning before you head to the beach this summer. Great white sharks now closer than to our shores than ever before. The stunning new video that may keep you out of the water.
Would you get in?
No, I would not.
Travel ban battle as multiple courts challenge Trump. Could the blocked orders threaten our national security? Judge Napolitano sounds off on the latest tonight on The Story.
Hello, this is Fox Extra, and I'm Lauren Simonetti. We're all told that healthy eating is the way to go, but some take it to the extreme, becoming so focused on what they eat they have no time for anything else in their life. Fox News Medical Aid Team's Dr. Manny Alvarez has more on what is becoming an eating disorder.
It often starts out as an interest in learning how to eat healthy, and ends up with a person focusing all their energy controlling every piece of food going into their mouths. The National Eating Disorders Association says it's similar to anorexia nervosa and bulimia. But in orthorexia nervosa, instead of targeting the quantity of food, the person spends all their time focusing on what they eat.
What's happening now in the culture is a obsession with getting foods that are clean and pure. And so as opposed to the traditional eating disorders where one is driven to be as thin as they possibly could be, that's sort of the motivation. In orthorexia, the motivation is to be as clean and as pure and as natural as possible.
Nutritionist Sandra Kronberg says this condition is not about what people put in their mouths, but what happens after a person's diet takes over their lives.
When it becomes tormenting, the degree to which it torments you and takes up time, space, and energy in your life, that's when we're starting to look at it as a disorder, where it's not just I prefer to eat things healthy, but I'm flexible enough that I know my body will take good care of itself if I have to eat regular bread or white bread or regular pasta, as opposed to narrowing and narrowing down the spheres in which I can go that only serve organic, dye-free, gluten-free, sugar-free, chemical-free foods.
Talk-based therapy is the standard treatment. But Kronberg says there has also been success in getting patients to give up a little control over what they eat.
It's one thing to talk about how you're afraid to eat something or you don't want to eat something or what happens to you. It's another thing to sit with somebody and actually watch how they begin to shake when a certain food gets put in front of them. It's definitely part of the work to take somebody to a restaurant and have them challenge themselves to eat something new, different, and opposite of what they've been doing.
While orthorexia nervosa is not a diagnosable condition by the mental health community, help is available from people trained in dealing with eating disorders. In New York, I'm Dr. Manny, Fox News.
For this and other health stories, visit foxnewshealth.com. Thank you for watching Fox Extra. I'm Lauren Simonetti. Keep it here.
The best luck I had was you. I said, hey, I'll be gone today, but I'll be back from around the way. It seems like everywhere I go, the more I see.
We're taking a live look outside of our studio here on 6th Avenue. Good morning. It's now 20 after the hour. An urgent new warning to Chicago police. Gang members have guns powerful enough to pierce body armor. The disturbing updates come a week after 2 city officers were shot and wounded in an attack, and after 3 people were gunned down in gang violence this weekend. Nearly 1,000 people have been shot in Chicago so far this year.
Well, a top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee coming under fire this morning for revealing classified information. Senator Dianne Feinstein exposing the FBI spent nearly $1 million to hack into that San Bernardino terrorist cell phone.
The FBI had to spend $900,000 to hack it open. And as I subsequently learned of some of the reason for it, there were good reasons to get into that device.
Wow, that's a lot of money to hack into a phone. It was revealed during questioning of FBI Director James Comey. She just let it slip. The agency paying a third party to unlock the phone after Apple refused for privacy reasons.
And now to a Fox Business alert for you. The TSA issuing new security guidelines in the wake of stolen trucks used in terror attacks.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, is here with the framework. Good morning, Cheryl.
Yeah, good morning. Framework is what we have, and maybe that's a good thing when you're talking about airport security. The TSA issuing kind of a framework of what they would like to see security and how it will be handled at airports. In particular, look for a marketing campaign in some airports across the country. They're worried about these soft targets, certainly a truck or someone with a gun coming in to say baggage claim, or where people check in for their flights in the departure lounges, things like that. So before security, but they're going to really be focusing on IT, so technology in airport surveillance, as well as prevention and protection. They're not giving us more specifics, but again, I think that's for a good reason for security.
You know, Cheryl, Jackie and I were just talking earlier, like one of our favorite breakfast foods, chicken sausage, but what we don't like in it is big chunks of plastic.
Thank you for bringing that up.
When I have my sausage, I'm not a big fan of plastic either. So yeah, recall from Purdue, guys. This is their organic, believe it or not, their organic chicken sausage. It's their Harvest Land brand. Pieces of blue plastic have been found in it, so that's a massive recall right now. You want to look for the specific brand of organic Italian chicken sausage from Purdue. It's just this one line, though, we should say, that's being recalled. And if it's in your fridge, throw it out.
And Clayton's up in arms about this. Coached by Kate Spade.
Right.
Right.
I want my independent Kate Spade bags.
You do? Well, the millennials love them some Kate Spades. Maybe you're onto something there. So Kate Spade being sold. We know that they've been up for sale since December. The stock's been on a tear. $2.4 billion deal. Coach is buying them. But this is going to be a big move, I think, for Coach, and a positive for Coach, as they really try to get that younger demographic, even think those teen shoppers, if you will. Kate Spade has a real link into them. So this is good news for Coach.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a way to improve upon flowers, Cheryl, but Tim Hortons out of Canada has figured out how to do this.
This is a way to do it for sure.
Okay, you never should underestimate the power of a donut, because Tim Hortons is offering for Mother's Day a box of them. These are, those, they're called Timbits. They're basically their donut holes, 24 in total, and you can see them on your screen. They're going to be selling them ahead of Mother's Day. Comes in that pretty box with the bow. 24 donut holes from Tim Hortons. Thank you very much. And by the way, the company says all mothers deserve a gift as sweet as they are.
Smart.
Indeed, they do.
See, if I bought them, they'd be half eaten by the time I got them home.
That wouldn't be too nice.
I'd buy it for myself.
Thanks, Cheryl. That's a good idea.
Well, 24 minutes now after the hour, James Clapper and Sally Yates grilled on the Hill over Russia meddling in the 2016 election. So what did we really learn?
It's a concoction by the Democrats. I'm open to evidence. Show it to me.
Why Charles Krauthammer says the headline of a hearing was the same old story.
And Bill Clinton writing a murder mystery.
But first, on this day in 1930, a starting gate was used to start a Triple Crown race for the first time.
And in 1974, the House Judiciary Committee began formal hearings on the Nixon impeachment. In New York City on this Tuesday, good morning. You're watching Fox and Friends. First, I'm Jackie Ibanez.
And I'm Clayton Morris. It is 28 minutes now after the hour. We want to get to Griff Jenkins now because a total hoax, President Trump taking aim at hearings on alleged Russia interference in the presidential election.
Sally Yates and James Clapper both grilled over leaked classified communications.
Yeah, Griff Jenkins is live in Washington with the very latest on this story. Good morning, Griff.
Hey, good morning, Clayton and Jackie. What a day. Former acting Attorney General Sally Yates, fired for refusing to carry out the president's travel ban, testified before a Senate Judiciary Committee alongside former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, warning that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn could be blackmailed by the Russians for misleading the administration.
The Russians also knew that General Flynn had misled the vice president and others. Not only did we believe that the Russians knew this, but that they likely had proof of this information. And that created a compromise situation.
Yates and Clapper also admitted viewing unmasked Trump campaign communications and sharing the information when pressed, but denied leaking the information to the press.
Either of you ever been an anonymous source in a news report about matters relating to Mr. Trump, his associates, or Russians' attempt to meddle in the election?
No.
Absolutely not.
And after the hearing, President Trump took to Twitter, lashing out at investigations into alleged ties between his campaign and Russian meddling, writing, quote, "The Russia-Trump collusion story is a total hoax. When will this taxpayer-funded charade end?" But the story is far from over. Monday's hearing was just the first in multiple congressional probes into the Russian influence. And in just a few hours, guys, at 9:30, NSA Director Mike Rogers testifies before the Senate Armed Services Committee. It will be the first time we hear from him publicly on the unmasking and possible leaking.
All right, thanks. Griff Jenkins live for us at this early hour in D.C.
Thanks, Griff.
Even after Yates was grilled for hours, Fox News contributor Charles Krauthammer says we still have no new evidence to support allegations of Russian collusion.
There are several storylines, and these hours and hours of hearing advanced. Not one of them. We learned nothing today that we didn't know yesterday. There's a classic case of sort of a video event that lives only to dramatize things, but not to add to our fund of knowledge. Show me any evidence. What you've got, people who are involved with Russians, and you get the Russians involved in the election without a shred of evidence connecting them. So until you get it, it's a concoction by the Democrats. I'm open to evidence. Show it to me.
Sanctuary City crackdown. Texas preemptively suing the city of Austin for refusing to abide by a new law banning illegal safe havens. Kelly Wright here with the new battle brewing. Hey, good morning, Kelly.
Good morning to you as well, Jackie. Deep in the heart of Texas, there is a deep division over a ban on sanctuary cities. Governor Greg Abbott signed the ban into law on Sunday, and now the city of Austin is being sued for not following the rule even before it goes into effect. While appearing on Fox and Friends, Governor Abbott explained why he believes the law is necessary for prosecuting illegal immigrants who commit crimes.
If someone is apprehended, taken to jail, what is done is a request is run through a computer system to find out whether or not there is an ICE detainer request pending. If there is, communication needs to be made with ICE. If there is not, Nothing else happens other than the usual local law enforcement process.
So here's what the law does. A law known as SB 4 calls for cooperation among federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to work with each other to protect Texans. But some cities and law enforcement personnel are refusing to adhere to the new law. They claim it's unconstitutional. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus, for example, says he's against the law.
Be impolite and say to have that dumped on us by Austin is just a bad idea, especially in light of the fact that the major city police chiefs across Texas have all objected to it.
Adding to that, the Dallas County Sheriff issued a statement that says this: we hope that the passing of Senate Bill 4 won't damage our existing relationship with the citizens of Dallas County. Our department does not want the community to doubt local law enforcement and not report crimes due to fear. And while some police chiefs and sheriffs disagree with the new law, the state's attorney general has already filed, a lawsuit seeking a federal court to uphold the law. Clayton.
All right, thanks, Kelly. We appreciate it. Well, an airport terminal looking more like a scene from Fight Club. Take a look at this.
Yeah, hundreds of stranded passengers demanding answers after Spirit Airlines canceled flights.
Yeah, Lorena Estrada from WSVN live at the Fort Lauderdale Airport in Florida with how it unfolded. Lorena, usually down in Fort Lauderdale, people go down there to relax.
Yeah, and I have to say, this airport is much more laid back compared to others in the area here. But imagine, right? You're spending a wonderful vacation. You're ready to go home. Some folks have to go home. They have to get back to work. They come to the airport to find out they can't go home. 9 flights were canceled. And you're looking at the result of all of this. What happened was that when folks learned that these 9 flights were canceled, they were demanding questions. They wanted to know why. Why can't we go home? And while you are looking at the frustration from dozens of passengers, all of it caught on cell phone video. Again, these are folks that had to stay at the airport overnight. They were not able to get home. So some tense moments there. Now, what is happening here is that these passengers were caught in the middle of labor negotiations. We're talking Spirit Airlines. That is the airline that canceled 9 flights. They have been in labor negotiations with the Pilots Association. The Pilot Association has been demanding a pay increase. They want better benefits. They want to compare to the bigger airlines like Delta, American, and United. But Spirit is reminding the Pilots Association that, hey, folks fly Spirit because of the better deals. They have not been able to come into an agreement. And now, according to Spirit Airlines, they say that pilots have been calling in sick. They are not picking up shifts. Therefore, they're having to cancel these flights. Listen to one passenger's frustration.
They cancel it like at the last minute, which is really upsetting. Somebody got arrested. It was like real rowdy over there in that line. And somebody was like slamming their hand down on the counter.
And we are waiting to confirm the number of arrests, but according to witnesses, 3 people were taken into custody. We're live in Fort Lauderdale. Lorena Estrada for Fox and Friends. Back to you.
Lorena, thank you.
Thanks, Lorena. Well, great white sharks creeping closer to the west coast in the dark ocean waters. 2 boat captains capturing this eerie video of 10 to 20 of them lingering 10 feet from shore in Long Beach, California, forcing an urgent public advisory for beachgoers to stay away. Safety officials are emphasizing the massive beasts have not shown any aggressive behavior.
That's scary at all?
I think they're mad that I called them aggressive beasts.
Well, Clayton, if you're having a bad week, I have a remedy for you. Uber is gearing up to make some very special and very cute deliveries. The ride-sharing service will bring puppies to your doorstep tomorrow. Uber partnering with the Anti-Cruelty Society celebrate National Pet Week. For $30, you'll get 15 minutes with a dog with the option to adopt that doggy.
So that's how Uber's rebuilding its reputation.
Right?
Sending puppies.
A little different.
Well, maybe it is May, but it feels more like March around here.
Senior meteorologist Janice Dean in the Weather Center tracking cooler temperatures. Hey, Janice.
Hi, Clayton and Jackie. Let's take a look at it. Yes, it is cooler than average. We have this area of low pressure, this trough in the northeast that's not budging. So we've got temperatures in the 30s and the 40s, and it's cool out west as well. That high pressure kind of anchored across the central U.S. where it's warm. Also want to talk about the drought across the southeast and Florida. That's where we have high fire danger again today. We have the sinking air, the drying air, the warming air, and that is leading the potential for wildfire danger. It's been one of the worst wildfires seasons in Florida's history. And taking a look at the forecast rainfall, not getting a lot of rainfall in this area over the next 7 days. Your forecast, again, we have the potential for showers and thunderstorms across the high plains, that cooler temperatures across the northeast, and then it's warm over the south. Clayton and Jackie, back to you.
All right,
thanks, Janice.
You got it.
Thank you.
It's now 37 after the hour. Netflix nuisance. Why it could soon cost you more to cut the cord and go with streaming for your TV.
Lena Dunham in need of a serious dose of reality. The actress' new diet tips that will make Trump supporters nauseous.
Was the prototype like 3?
Hi, I'm Jackie Ibanez, and this is Fox Extra. 10 Days of Thunder is a week-and-a-half-long celebration of racing in Charlotte. Events in the home of NASCAR's Hall of Fame include the All-Star Race and culminate with the grueling Coca-Cola 600. Fox Business correspondent Dagan McDowell goes behind the scenes at the Speedway to take a look at how pit crews prepare for the longest race of the season.
Four tires, 5 lug nuts, 18 gallons of gas in under 12 seconds. Ever wanted to see what goes on behind the scenes during a pit stop of a NASCAR race? Here's your chance to learn from the pros at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Keep this button down the whole time. Press the gun the whole time. Hit 5 lug nuts. Run around to the left side. Hit 5 lug nuts again. And
so this is already in righty-tighty, huh?
Yeah. Keep that down the whole time.
Hold down.
Hold it both sides.
All right. That is so much harder than it looks.
Yeah.
I'm like out of breath. I didn't go anywhere. I ran like 10 feet.
The Charlotte Motor Speedway is home to the All-Star Race and the Coca-Cola 600, the longest race of the season. But before those green flags fly, NASCAR analyst Larry McReynolds talks about the skills needed by pit crews to get these cars in and out fast.
Well, it sounds easy. I'm just going to take 5 lug nuts off of a wheel and tighten 5 lug nuts back, and I'm going to do that on both fronts or both rears, or I'm just going to jack that car up. But to know that you're doing all that, and if you really want to be competitive,
says it's imperative for crews not to be distracted by other teams making a pit stop.
you have to put blinders on. You can't start worrying about the changer on the other end, because if you start racing him, that's when you're going to make mistakes. And I think the other thing is sometimes just slow down and you'll actually go faster because you're going to be more efficient.
And the speed and accuracy of a pit crew could determine who takes that checkered flag.
First time you really squeeze that air wrench and it goes off in your hand, it's like, whoa, what have I got hold of here? A wildcat is trying to jump out of your hand. This takes a lot of hand and eye coordination to be able to hit those 5 lug nuts. I mean, just precisely each and every time and not get messed up on your rhythm, because when it comes down to that final critical stop, you've got to have a front tire changer that is as accurate as the day is long.
In New York, Dagan McDowell, Fox Business.
For this and other stories, visit foxbusiness.com. Thanks for watching Fox Extra. I'm Jackie Ibanez. Keep it here.
It's 41 after the hour. Good morning. Lawyers for President Trump and the American Civil Liberties Union squaring off in an appeals court hearing over the travel pause. A core issue focusing on statements made by President Trump on the campaign trail versus his actions as president. A lawyer representing the ACLU forced to admit the order is protected under the Constitution.
If some other candidate had won the election and issued this executive order that's before us, I gather you would have no problem with that. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor. I think in that case, it could be constitutional.
The The president's revised order seeks to pause travel from 6 Muslim-majority countries for 90 days due to national security. 3 judges, all appointed by former President Bill Clinton, will hear Hawaii's executive order challenge next week. And membership-based health care is on the rise. The service offers patients unlimited doctor's visits and 24/7 access for a monthly fee. It's cheaper than insurance because it cuts out the middleman. The service now growing in Colorado. Doctors say if you have this kind of coverage, it's important to pair it with a catastrophic insurance plan just in case there's an emergency. Clayton?
Thanks, Jackie. Well, as the high-stakes showdown over replacing Obamacare faces its next test in the Senate, healthcare premiums are rising an average of 25% across the country. Look at that. So is the president's Health Care Act exactly what we need right now? Our next guest says yes. Carrie Sheffield is the founder of Bold.org, and she joins us now. Carrie, nice to see you this morning.
Hey, good to see you, Clayton. Good morning.
So you write in this opinion piece, although it's not perfect, you think this is a big step in the right direction. How so?
Absolutely. This is definitely putting us on the right track. It's going to need some work in the Senate for sure. But what this does is it reforms healthcare for a generation. It preserves Medicaid for my generation, the millennials. It also makes sure that we can afford health insurance. Right now under Obamacare, health insurance is so expensive for us. And I got to confess, I have an Obamacare plan. I've seen double-digit increases. I also lost my doctor when I shifted onto an Obamacare plan. What this is going to do, this Republican proposal is putting us on track to get an affordable, more sustainable healthcare system.
Why weren't Democrats talking about this? I mean, we haven't heard them talking about these rising premiums at all. And now they're outraged at President Trump for what they say, people are going to lose, people with pre-existing conditions are going to suffer, the elderly are going to suffer. Where were they a few months ago?
They don't talk about it. They also don't talk about the fact that middle-income families are facing double-digit increases in their premiums. The other problem is they like to make themselves feel good and say 11 million people are going to be losing their insurance, for example. These were not good health insurance plans. They were junk plans. It was like monopoly money insurance plans. These were not plans that were actually making people's lives better. They were papering over the problem. So what this plan will do with the Republicans will give real health insurance that will make people's lives better.
One of the big issues with Obamacare was it was banking on the idea of the millennials signing up for health care, right?
Yes.
We're young and, well, maybe I'm not so young. We're young and vivacious. So we think we don't need, a health care plan. I don't need to sign up. It was banking on those millennials signing up in order to make it feasible. That didn't happen, though.
No, it didn't. A lot of people ended up taking the hit. They took the penalty rather than signing up for a plan that was overloaded with things that they didn't need to be paying for. So they said, you know what? I'm going to do this cost-benefit analysis, and I'm going to opt out. So that's what ended up happening was the sicker people were getting into these plans, and the people who did have to sign up, maybe you were married and you had kids, you wanted to make sure you had health insurance, you saw your premiums skyrocket. And you also saw the fact that, as we all know, insurers were pulling out of the exchanges because it was not cost-effective for them, even though the Congressional Budget Office had said that it would be profitable for these health insurance plans. Way off base.
Now, you say in your piece, as I mentioned, you say, and I'll quote you, though it's certainly not perfect, broadly speaking. So what's not perfect about this? Where do we need to fix this?
So I think it's a little bit rigid, for example, on tax credits. So it's sort of a flat nominal rate. I think it should be differentiated better on the marketplace in terms of what profile they have. That way, it'll be more like Orbitz or Kayak or these websites where you can really pick your health insurance plan to meet exactly where you are. We don't have that right now under the current plan. I'm hoping for the Senate we'll see something a little better.
And that's odd because we've heard from Republicans that they don't want a one-size-fits-all approach. Mm-hmm. And so
yes.
You think this does still have a one-size-fits-all approach?
I think in that respect, in terms of the tax credits, and Avik Roy, who's been a healthcare advisor for many candidates, including Mitt Romney, he said that we need to be more tailored in terms of the tax credit approach.
With 30 seconds left, where do you think we're going to go from the Senate? Or are we going to see a watered-down version of this or improved?
Well, I hope it's improved. I know Senator Mitch McConnell is committed to making sure that this is going to pass. I know a lot of Democrats are saying, there's no way in heck this is going to happen because it's the Senate. I think that we're going to see some improvements. I hope we see improvements on the tax credit front. I also think that at the end of the day, the Republicans are going to be able to reconcile this because they know they have to keep the promise that they made to the American people that they need to repeal and replace Obamacare with something much better.
Carrie Sheffield, founder of Bold.org. Nice to see you this morning.
Great.
Thanks so much. All right, let's check in with Brian Kilmeade to see what's coming up on Fox and Friends. There's another bold guy.
Thank you very much. It's the first time I've been called bold in quite a long time. Thank you, and I'll try to live up to the hype.
Meanwhile, a Colorado teacher suspended after urging students to bash a Trump pinata. Remember that? Well, the mom who exposed that story on Facebook, which is a social media site, and the student in that class joins us live. Plus, Speaker Paul Ryan, one of the most powerful people in Washington, will be joining us live on the couch, where it brings him to New York. Does he have a response for Jimmy Kimmel's attack last night? And we're going to be talking with the Texas Attorney General about how they are taking on Austin, Texas, who are taking on the governor when it comes to sanctuary cities. Confused? You won't be, only if you watch Fox and Friends. Soon we'll have two other people on. I can't wait to see who comes out.
And you mentioned a new social media site. It's called The Facebook?
Yeah, it's called Facebook. Facebook. A lot of kids are using it, and others are using it to connect with high school people they don't want to connect with.
Actually, I think more like my grandma is on Facebook now.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you all about Snapchat or you're about Instagram?
No. Do you remember when Facebook was like the cool place to hang out, Brian? You and I used to hang out there. We used to say, why isn't anyone else here? Because we're the cool kids.
Can we be honest, Clayton? I've never been cool. You've always been cool. Right. Let's be honest.
That's a total lie. We're going to be what you can see more coolness on Fox and Friends starting in about 13 minutes.
We're running out of music.
We're running out of tape, Brian. Great to see you this morning. More Fox and Friends first when we come back.